Before a trailer starts on YouTube, they call them bumpers. Because if the trailer just started the way, it does right after the green card, where we kind of get into the story and we meet our characters, people might turn it off. But if you've been given a taste like, oh, it's going to get crazy by the end. So that's the thinking behind that. So I'm Bill Neal, and I'm a trailer editor, and I work at Buda Jones. That is a project where we worked from dailies, where we didn't get a cut of the movie at first. And so I just watched dailies as they came in, as they were shot. And you start to get kind of a sense of what the movie's going to be. And you start to kind of get a feel.
But that's why back at the Haywood Ranch.
The song is Fingertips by Stevie Wonder. Jordan Peele suggested to use that song. We're playing it almost diegetically at first.
Yeah, skin it again.
Like a diegetic means like it's part of the scene, and then she's dancing to it, and then you do little kind of fun editorial tricks where like on the beat of the music, you try to have his hoofs kind of hit the beats. And then we cut outside to Daniel with the horse and making the music really kind of echoey, and it's kind of creepy. And then go to that super quiet, big wide shot. The other thing I do there, I have the crickets, and then I have the crickets stop chirping, and it just goes quiet. I'm taking a cue from the movie The Fog, John Carpenter's The Fog. There's a moment in The Fog where right before the evil fog rolls in, there's crickets, and then it's a wide shot of a house, and they stop chirping, and then the fog kind of rolls in. So I kind of took it from that. It's an homage, I guess, or I'm stealing it, I'm not sure. And then after that, we have the big from Jordan Peele, kind of Calm Down. And I guess it's known now that it's kind of Jordan Peele's Alien movie, but at the time wasn't for sure what the heck was going on. And I thought the big thing coming down from underneath the Jordan Peele, I felt, because normally From would be on top of the name Jordan Peele, but I flipped it because it reminded me of the way the spaceship looked in Close Encounters of the Third Kind when it came down. And also that shot of that house reminded me of the shot from Close Encounters when the little kid gets abducted. We start deconstructing the song of Fingertips and just using the rhythm from it. If you ever heard that song, this is very deconstructed. And then we add a lot of sound design and layers and rises and stuff underneath. A rise, it's a piece of music. It's kind of getting bigger and bigger and bigger and louder and louder and louder. In the early days when I was cutting trailers, there were basically no trailer sound design libraries. And I'd want something like a rise, and I'd be like, I want something that sounds like that Beatles song, A Day in the Life. Because at the end of that, it has a big, huge rise. Now there's about a billion different kinds with like choirs and synths and huge orchestras and hits and everything you can imagine. Not even just music, like just sound effects libraries. There's like a little kid laughing, and I've used this sound effect a lot.
Russia. Oh.
Stanley Kubrick had like some of the best trailers of all time. That's so innovative. I mean, I've always looked at that as one of those crazy, kind of groundbreaking trailers. That's back in the 60s when like the French New Wave was starting to like have an effect on Hollywood, and that was embracing that crazy nonlinear weird editing. Almost overboard. Back in the 60s, they didn't have trailer houses really doing it. I think there were people on the lot doing that, or the filmmakers were doing it.
You have a date with Carrie.
Carrie is, it's a lot of VO.
The girl who lives in that creepy house.
The thing about the Carrie trailer that I always say is that it kind of gives away every big moment in the movie.
For Carrie, it will be a dream come true. For everyone else, it will be a nightmare.
You see who dies, you see what happens to her at the prom, you kind of see everything. So when people complain about trailers giving away everything nowadays, I'm like, well, look at the Carrie trailer. The other fun thing about the Carrie trailer is if you see, like, there's a part in it where the screen, they have a wipe in the frame when the blood is poured on her, and it wipes the frame red. And although in the movie it does kind of, the lights all go red, they kind of go red after that. But I think they had to do that because the MPAA has to approve all trailers for general audience viewing, doesn't allow you to show actual red blood. You can't, for a regular green band trailer, which is meant for all audiences, you can't show blood. That is just one of the best trailers ever. It's so good. That sound design is amazing. It's that alien, whoa! That screaming sound. Nowadays, we kind of call that like a signature sound, which is kind of a repeated sound that you kind of latch onto. I started really kind of focusing on signature sounds, like with the trailer I did for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The sound I'm talking about is this crazy camera. And I loved the original, and I wanted to kind of make reference to that.
This film is positively ruthless in its attempt to drive you right out of your mind.
So when I was a kid, I loved like those horror, vinyl records of sound effects, like sounds to make you shiver. Disney's like Haunted Mansion. And so I guess maybe that kind of inspired me a little bit, in terms of being so focused on the sounds of horror.
When the world is in trouble.
In the 90s, there was a lot of VO and a little bit more of a formula.
The most brilliant commander in the Soviet Navy, from the sewers of Gotham.
I mean, it's a cliche to say in a world.
In a world where both of our cars were totally underwater. And advanced technology, 1,500 active volcanoes in the world.
We worked with Don LaFontaine, who was the king of VO. He's the one you always associate with the inner world. He was really cool. He was always professional, but he was like the number one. And like he had his own limo, and he would be driven from VO booth to VO booth. There were people, who try to break into the business, and then you'd give them a shot. And there was such a difference between, a Don LaFontaine who would nail it.
They destroyed everything he had.
Who would just nail whatever kind of nuance that you wanted, and somebody who just didn't know how to do it. And it seems like it's easy, but it was really hard. You have such a short time in any trailer to kind of engage people or get people to lock in. And I think sound and music and sound effects, they're the soul of the trailer. There's another part in that trailer that uses sound where we go to black. We stop everything, we go to black, and we do have a couple cards that say like from producer Michael Bay, but we have the sound of this girl running and screaming, and it's in the black, and you hear these footsteps, and then it's quiet, and then the chainsaw comes through, and that's another one of my favorite parts of it. So sometimes we get a rough cut of the movie. 50% of the time, we don't even get a rough cut. We get to start getting dailies as soon as they start shooting. We're rarely, if ever, working from a final cut of a feature. And Halloween, I would say, the line reading Jamie has of, so I could kill him.
So I can kill him.
In the middle of the trailer is a different take.
So I can kill him.
And then I think we edited the end scare of that trailer where the girl is trying to close the closet door and then Michael appears. That is edited differently than it is in the final movie. And I remember I saw it and I was like, oh, they cut that differently than I thought they would. Well, the beginning of the 10 Cloverfield Lane trailer is, kind of just the fun, goofy song. They seem like they're having fun. It's not really like jokey. They've called it a rug pull, where it starts off one way and then it changes. The rug pull in that is a little bit more gradual. A normal rug pull is, oh my God, it looks funny, it's funny, and then bam, something changes.
I can talk to Santa.
All right, revelers. Welcome to your worst Christmas ever.
Let's go!
Using sound effects or movements, punches, stuff, and beat with the music, and time with the music. It's all over the place. Rhythm is such like a basic human sense, that when you kind of tap into that in such a kind of cool way with the punches. I mean, I use it a little bit in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But I call it like click, click, whir. It's kind of what it is. It's this kind of use of rhythm and rhythmic cutting. One metaphor I wanted to say about trailers. This was told to me by a studio exec named Tony Sella. So this metaphor about trailers is it's like trying to sell a jigsaw puzzle. And in order to sell the jigsaw puzzle, you can't show the whole picture on the box. You are only allowed to show 4 pieces of that puzzle.